Hello, I'm the Unconventional Grandma bringing you Harvest Right freeze-dried vegetables. Today we're going to talk about the kinds of vegetables that you can freeze-dry, how to prepare them, and what they look like when they're finished. So, since I have just finished my 43rd batch in my freeze dryer, I need to show you how to prepare the freeze dryer for your next batch. The first thing you're going to do is take a dish towel or a towel that does not have any kind of lint base to it, and you're going to check your door. You're going to clean it inside and out and make sure it's dry and crystal clear. The next step is to take the seal off of your door. You just pull it gently. Your seal will need to be clean and dry. You're going to take the rack out. You're going to catch any moisture. Make sure the inside of your machine is completely dry. I always check the shelves and wipe them to make sure that they don't have any debris from your previous batches on there. When you pull it forward, if you don't wipe your top, you're going to either have drippage on the floor and possibly your shirt. I usually end up with a wet shirt when I'm done with this. I'm unplugging the plug and play mechanism so that I can remove the shelves. I like to tuck it behind the hinge of the door up here so that it doesn't get wet or into anything that might be in your machine and it's out of the way. The next thing I have is a shoebox. My shoebox catches the condensation during the freeze drying cycles, but it's also a way to push anything in the machine after it's defrosted into this so you have a minimal mess. I wipe the inside of the stainless steel drum completely dry so that your new batch starts out in a completely new environment that's clean and crisp, ready to go. One of the things that you should always do is smell your freeze dryer to make sure that it doesn't have the odors from your previous cycles. Smells great. It's neutralized and ready to go. Now I have to replace the shelving unit. So it has my plug and play. And I'm just going to plug this back in, reposition my shelves, reinstall the seal. You never want to put too much pressure on your seal. Just continue to work around until it's completely, now it's completely on. And I'm going to shut the door, double check that my seal is functioning. I should have a ring around that I can see the seal making good contact. So now I'm going to start the machine. It's going to make an air-cooled cycle of 15 minutes before I can put my vegetables into the machine. I press start. Also, I want to make sure that my drain hose is not in the bucket. If it's in the bucket during your freeze drying cycle, it will suck up the water. So now we have 15 minutes of cooling before we can place our trays in there. Today, we prepared broccoli and carrots. So this is my broccoli. It's just cut into medium-sized or small-sized pieces. I just took the head of the broccoli and cut it and placed it on here. You want to make sure there's some airflow between your pieces. They're not stacked and they are on your tray, not overflowing. I put mine onto the silicone mats. I just like that it's easy to take the silicone mat once it's done so that it comes right off. So I have 2 trays of broccoli. Then I have carrots that were cut. These were just long straight carrots. They were cut on a mandolin slicer. I sliced some like this with the ridged edge. These are appealing to look at, so if you have a party or a guest, you want to give them something a little fancier, you can dip with this. They don't have to be rehydrated to be dipping carrots. It's all to your preference. You don't want to put too many carrots overflowing, just a single layer on the bottom. Now we have another tray that was cut with a straight edge. These were cut with a straight edge so that they would be great for soups and stews. You could also dip them, but they're just not as appealing. Feed these to your kids. Save these for the party. So while we're waiting for our freeze dryer to cool, I'm going to show you some of the things that I have freeze dried, what they look like, and how it was done. The first thing that we have is some zucchini. This is zucchini in this jar and also yellow squash. They were simply sliced just like the carrots on your mandolin slicer, quick and easy. If you don't have a mandolin slicer, just slice with the knife, but make sure they're not sliced too thick or it will take longer to dry and they'll be kind of chunky, so they're not that great to eat with your dips and that. Next we have our broccoli. Our broccoli, you probably can't tell the dried from the fresh. So these turn out, they're really eye-appealing. They're great for your soups, stews, dipping, whatever it is you want to do with them, or you could eat them plain. If you're somebody that does not eat crunchy and hard fresh vegetables, I love them like this. As you get older and you have challenges with your dental work, the freeze-dried ones are perfect. Then we have some carrots. Again, if you compare the dried and the fresh, it's very difficult to tell the difference. And they're delicious, just like this. This mix is a Normandy mix. I did not prepare this other than going to the store and buying a bag of Normandy mix. And I took the bag of frozen vegetables and I put them on my trays like this and freeze dried them all together as a mix. This has got cauliflower and all the vegetables that we covered here. When you look at them, they also put ridged carrots in there. Their carrots are a little thicker than mine, so it's all in what you prefer. But the idea here is you don't have to slice and dice and prepare all your vegetables. If you go to the store and they're on sale, or you have some in your freezer that you're not eating and you want to make use of them, by all means put them in your Harvest Right and get them freeze dried so they're good for the next 25 years. This is a mix that I purchased. This is an American Harvest Imperial Blend. It has green beans, broccoli, onions, red peppers, and mushrooms. Again, I took this frozen vegetables, I placed them on the trays. One big bag filled 4 trays, and it freeze dries in one cycle without additional time. And again, here is your broccoli, your fresh, and your freeze-dried. It's very difficult to tell which one is which unless you pick them up. When you pick them up, you can tell because there's water weight on your fresh vegetables and your freeze-dried vegetables are, lack of a better word, styrofoam. They taste great. I put them in this bucket to store them. I like to store things in some very good quality buckets that must be food safe. And as long as they're food safe buckets, you can store these long term. You do not want to have the lids off because they will rehydrate in the air. Now, if you have other vegetables, such as peppers and onions, you can make a fajita mix. This is the fajita mix that I also got pre-made. It is lovely in the jars. These look great on display. They have nice bright colors. You can tell that the nutritional content is still intact because they're nice and bright. They don't turn brown. These are so beautiful. I just love to have them in my kitchen. So your fajita mix will look great in your kitchen. It is beautiful to look at, and it's also very easy to prepare. You can make a meal out of this, and your family will enjoy fajitas anytime. So these are the vegetables that I have freeze-dried in my Harvest Right freeze dryer. It's easy. It takes a little while for each cycle to go through because vegetables do have more moisture if they're frozen. They take a little less time because they're frozen, but they have more water. So I'm thinking it kind of is an equal balance between the frozen vegetables and the fresh vegetables. There's so many things that you can do with your vegetables to make healthy and dynamic meals for your family that I think it's a priority to get as many vegetables as I can freeze-dried to get that into my family's diet. So let's check our freeze dryer and see how many minutes we have left for 15. This says that we are at 11 minutes, almost 11 and a half minutes. So we have about 3.5 minutes left so that we can put our trays into the freeze dryer, and then it will go for one whole cycle. Now we're back to check our freeze dryer to see if it's ready for the vegetables. You can look at the screen, it says load food into the freeze dryer. We want to make sure that no previous food has been left in there and it's ready for our trays of vegetables. So now that it says load food, we are going to close our valve so that it will get into the vacuum cycle properly. We're going to open the door and see what pops out.
Hi there. Let's finish the freeze drying. All right. First we got our broccoli. Now what do you call a dinosaur that eats its veggies?
I don't know. What do we call a dinosaur that eats its veggies?
A Brachiosaurus.
Oh. When we load our freeze dryer, we want to make sure that our trays are pushed all the way back.
Sorry, I'm still defrosting.
She's in training right now. Thanks, producer. I appreciate your help.
Anytime.
Press continue.
And now we're off.
We'll see you when our freeze cycle is over and our vegetables are ready. Hello everyone, welcome back. It's been about 22 hours since we put our vegetables into our Harvest Right freeze dryer. My freeze dryer is set at 4 hours of additional drying time. Right now, our total drying time is 21 hours, 57 minutes. We have another hour and a half of additional drying time if we wish to continue. But we're going to choose cancel. Our machine's turning off. We're going to release the pressure on the machine. We will not open the door until we release the pressure by changing the valve. All of the pressure has been released, so now we can open the door and it will open freely. If you feel a suction, all of your pressure has not been released. I can smell the vegetables. Our trays are nice and warm. There's a warming process on our freeze dryer when the process is complete. These are our carrots that were sliced with our mandolin slicer with a straight edge. They're nice and light and fluffy. These are the carrots that were rich slices for dipping and for the adults for parties. This is our first tray of broccoli. It looks as nice as the fresh broccoli that we put in. And this is our second tray of broccoli. So now we can look at the broccoli and carrots and determine if they're fully freeze dried. You can feel them. If you have large pieces, you can break them in half. Most of my broccoli is pretty small. There's no need to break in half. The carrots are thin. So you break them in half. You can, if you have something thick, you look at it to see if there are ice crystals in the center. Now that we have learned how to take fresh vegetables and transform them into freeze-dried snacks or ingredients in your next delicious dishes, we're going to need to package them. Our upcoming video will show you how to go through the steps of packaging your freeze-dried vegetables in a way that will ensure long-term use. Thank you for watching my videos. I appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, or comment to support my channel. My goal is to not only share my joy with you, but to teach as many people as I can the joy of creating stability for your family through food stores. Thank you. And remember, Grandma loves you.